Right. So this week we have David Howells from Wales. Uh, you've heard you call Di as well. Is that Welsh for David or
Yeah, yeah,
what way
but
is that?
yeah, short for David.
No, I wasn't sure if Welsh I could have meant anything. Maybe something not so good.
There's a lot of dies in Wales.
Yes. Yes. No bother. Right. Whereabouts in Wales are you?
I live in a small village called Cummer, which is South Wales in the South Wales valleys.
Sorry, Wales. No problem. We were down there years ago. At the international. Is that down near your direction? Is it the the Cardiff International?
There was international in Bonville, near Cardiff.
Uh-huh.
Uh, that's actually was in my father-in-law's farm, so
Ah, right. Yes. Yes.
I was quite involved in organising that. My wife was the secretary, and yeah,
Busy event for you then.
2012, I think.
Aye. Yeah, no bother, no bother. Right. Outside of dogs, then, is there anything that you're into at all, or just, sheep or sports or?
Yeah, I like follow the rugby and like watching the rugby. Wales has been a little bit of a hard watch lately, but I just hope it's just a short term thing and we come better again. I also obviously the farming, um, run some pedigree limousin cows, about 30 now, cut them down a bit, but yeah, so some bulls and heifers and whatnot.
No, you'll know James Mackay then at Aberdeen.
Yes, yeah.
Lives
I
it.
got a bit busy, but yeah, they got some tremendous cattle.
He only lives about what, maybe I wouldn't even be 10 minutes from here, but
Yeah,
he seems to get on pretty well at the Lummies anyway.
yeah.
So he does. Right, the dogs. Tell us a bit about your background. What age were you when you started? How did you get into it?
Grew up around dogs because obviously being on a sheep hill farm, there was always dogs here. Dad always has dogs, grandfather. Um, and I just had an interest from a young age. Ran my first trial, just a local trial when about 11, 12. Um, didn't do anything for a year or two, just sort of did the odd local trial and then started going to nurseries, and then progressed from there. Yeah.
Yeah. And who was it really helped you into it, or was there anybody that was sort of a figure for you starting out?
Well, to start, I was my grandfather used to take me to local trail and parents. But then once I went to nurseries, there was lots of local handlers like Malcolm Ellis, David Meek, Colin Gordon were in my region,
Yeah.
and they were always there for advice and help. And later, slightly then when I wanted to go to open trails, I was very fortunate. Like David Meek and Malcolm Ellis would both come, and father was very busy, would come and pick me up and take me to these trails and always hand out some advice.
Yep. Yeah. No bother. Did you find obviously as you started to get more successful, the advice maybe wasn't as readily available, or
Maybe, yeah.
and did your father or grandfather did they trial at all, or just have good
No,
farm dogs?
no, just good farm dogs. My father only just like ever kept like two dogs, and he would train them a bit himself, but probably buy just two dogs. Always have two good dogs. Still now he can get like 300 sheep in off a field just as good as I can with all my fancy whistling and chip
Yeah. Yeah.
get them in. That's
It
not
does the job.
and stuff. Yeah. Um, my apparently my grandmother's father used to do a lot of trailing. He's not passed away before I was born.
Yes.
So I would say that's where I get it from. And yeah, yeah,
It's funny you see that even because my mother's grandfather went into the dogs. He was on the hunt right enough, but you see there near enough sometimes like I wouldn't even have really known him at all.
yeah,
But it's sort of sometimes it seems to nearly been you.
yeah. I suppose it's like the dogs, they skip generations, and yeah.
Aye. So it does. But right,
Grandfather
how
was
many
always
times how many times have you been on the team then, or
been in the team, including the World Trial team, 9 times, and then twice as a reserve.
right? And what about the Supreme?
I've been in the Supreme 4 times in the World Trial final, twice, so 6 times in the final, I suppose.
That's not a bad hit right there for
Go ahead.
more or less half the times you're in the team, you're in
Yeah,
the Supreme.
yeah. I
Yeah.
don't know why. I don't feel it in an international. Obviously, I do get nervous and I feel the pressure a bit, but not as bad as the national. I'm a little bit more relaxed in the national. Do you mean it's so sort of it all comes down to that 10 minutes, and you know, well, it's not just Wales, but all the countries is so keen, and you look down the list, there's like five to qualify that day, and you look in the catalogue and you see all these names, and you're thinking,
Yeah.
I get in the five with all that lot running, and
No,
feel the pressure a bit international, perhaps.
I know Wales is a country there too that if you were to probably pick the next 15 after the team, you'd probably still have quite a good team.
Yeah, well,
But,
yes, seriously competitive.
the standards there. Up to now, what's your own personal biggest achievement? What has stood out to you the most?
Probably the first the world trial in Holland. I was runner up in the semi-final win-up, and I remember that run. It was a really nice run. The final didn't go so well. Ended up 10th. And I remember the first time I got in the team. You always sort of remember them ones. Run at Stoneleigh with Nip's mother, which was called Jamie. Qualified for the Supreme that day, but just made lots of mistakes that day and ended up down the bottom.
And what year was that in Stoneleigh?
About 2014.
14. Yeah.
14. Yeah.
Or 14. 14. Must have been 13, or no, was it 13 then? Ireland was in, I think Ireland was in 14, was it? Or?
Scotland 14, perhaps, was it? Yeah.
Aye.
Yeah.
So, and around that time anyway. So, you've been in, that was your first time. So,
yeah,
roughly, 10, 12 years now since you've been first in the team?
Yeah. Yeah.
And you've been on 9 times, like, so you're.
Yeah. I used to do, I always used to run international, but was never any successful. I used to do like a lot of contract shearing in the summer, and I'd go to a national thinking my dogs were right, but really, do you mean I was shearing May, June, July, and I hadn't done enough preparation and was expecting.
It's hard to turn down the money this year, and too, to be fair, like it's good money to be had at that time of year.
Yeah, that's it.
So it is. So you've been getting on quite you're a regular fixture, like, cause I thought to myself there recently, I was like, I must get this man on because there's a lot of dogs if you're breeding in it. You've seen them, down the years, like you've been getting a lot of bitches and stuff and whatever too, like, so they're obviously doing something right over your way anyway.
Yeah.
So there. So what would you say what's the best dog you've had?
I wouldn't like to put it down to one dog. Obviously, Nip has been a great dog for me. Actually was unlucky in the nationals with Nip quite often. Either I'd make an error or he'd do something a bit wrong. But he did it, between the bitches he had and then what he bred. So he was he was good. His mother, she was called Jamie. She was a super bitch. She was the first I got in the team with. Just a real listener and just give you everything. And then the current bitch I got now, Wyvern Pip. I think she's up with them. Quite more to Jamie than Nip. Perhaps she's just a real trier again, real listener.
And what age is she?
She's 4 now. So.
So coming on to her prime the next year or two, like.
Yeah. She made the world trial final in Guildhall. Ended up 6th with her. I just couldn't get the shed finished. But
actually, it's only been about 2 then. I was 2 at that point, or just turned 3 maybe.
She was. Yeah.
She's a brave going like for just out of nursery, saying then.
Yeah.
And the following, that's some going. Right. Well, with regards to open courses, I like to ask this question because there's people now. They start, they're going all over the place. So a lot of people maybe head over to England or Scotland, Wales, Ireland. They don't just stay at home for trials. So I like to ask this question because people listening are maybe thinking, right, we're going to go to England this summer, or Wales, or Scotland, or Ireland, wherever it may be. And if you ask what courses people like for opens, it maybe gives them an idea. If just I heard that trial mentioned, I'll give it a go. So with regards to open trials, what What would stand out to you?
The Bedouin final is a cracking course. There's the qualifying day, which is like 4 fields. You get to get lots of runs and different fields and courses. And then they have a final then, which is like 2 or 3 weeks later, and that is just a huge course. Do you mean it's really it's like through a field and then out onto a big hill. And like the fetches are not straight fetches. You have to stretch and then you have to take them across the hill and down. And yeah, that's a super course. And one of my favorites is a one that's quite local to me. It's called Llanarthny, only because it's been a lucky trial for me. Run by Myron Owen and Myron Jones. It's like 2 sessions and then top 3 from each. Run in a double fetch final at the end.
Yes.
Yeah, and that was one of the first double fetch finals I won. Do you mean so? And I've been lucky since with different dogs. So yeah, it's always one of my favorites.
Soft spot for it. Nope, fair dues. I probably can hazard a guess what the answer will be here because we already spoke about it. But the international, then, what course has stood out to you down the years?
I thought Gill Hall was a great course. Do you mean I made the Supreme there when the international was there, and lucky enough to make the World Trail final last year. So I really like that course. Margam Park, where Bobby DL won with Wisp. That was the first international I ever went to, and that was in Port Talbot, which is 8 miles from here. And my dad was involved on the committee and hauled the sheep there. So that one sticks in my mind. It was a great course. We also, my grandfather's brother owned a farm just above there, and he's passed away. And now I share a farm. We share a farm with some cousins.
Yes.
So I pass there regularly. I drive past. There's like a 10-foot high stone wall running up the park, which was on one of the outruns. So I drive past there regularly, and it's always been planted now with all trees and stuff, so you wouldn't be able to run in it there now. But it was a super course. Then the other one then obviously is Bonvilston, because in father-in-law's farm, and just because I was so involved in organising and sorting it all out.
It'll be a good old training course for you to have as well, an international Supreme course.
You've got to put a fence or 2 back up, so I spoiled it a bit.
No, you need to make sure you don't fall out with the wife anyway, or you'll have to go back to wee fields again. So well, the
Welsh nationals there as well, so yeah.
Yes, handy. No, fair dues. With regards to your handling and type of dog, what sort of appeals to you? What do you go for?
I like a dog. I like a responsive dog, something that sort of quick flanking and just a really good listener. Something that's really honest as well. Do you mean wants to try and work with you? I just think, do you mean when you're working on the farm all day and stuff, I don't want to be arguing with a dog all day, and you want something that's helping you and working with you. Just something you can sort of really rely on. Do you mean if you say, for example, if you're gardening on the hill and quite often you put the dog up, by the time the dog gets there, they've gone over out of sight. Just something that you think, oh, well, I don't have to worry too much. They're going to come back, maybe not quite where you want them, but that can work quietly on its own and use his head.
They're not easy to find, them ones.
No. No.
So they're not. With regards to your handling, then, would you be a focal sort of handler, or would you be quite quiet of yourself, or depends on how your run's going?
Other people, I think, but yeah, I think I'm quite quiet, quite calm, I suppose. Just don't get too irate. That's what I would think.
Funny, you see there's ones at trials and they're naturally a loud sort of handler, and there's ones that are quieter, but like you see them in the Supreme, and there's the loud handlers in the Supreme, and there's the quiet ones. Like they both get there anyway. Like
job, yeah.
But when it comes down to judging, and again, it's a question that's been asked to people before, and I've said obviously you want the ideal run, but is there anything in particular that really sticks out to you that you think hasn't been maybe judged hard enough, that you really, if you're judging, you think, right, I'm hitting this, it was not right?
Yeah, I like to see like a dog end up nice and deep at the top of an outrun. I don't want to, not wide in the bottom, do you mean a nice line from you, but end up nice and deep, 12 o'clock, and then just come on and lift sheep.
Yeah.
Lift sheep nice. A lot of dogs, like, when I'm judging, I do find the lift a tricky one to judge, because I have a dog that ends up deep and then comes on lift sheep, perhaps as just a little bit hesitant, and you think, oh, I'll take 1 or 2 points off. Then you'll have another dog that's outrun. He's a little bit tight, but then sheep have come off the mark and coming down the field, and he ends up in, and you're thinking, well, his lift he hasn't really lifted him. So I just find that a little bit of a grey area when I'm judging. What would you do with a lift?
The sheep are on the go already.
I've taken something off the dog that's arrived at 12 o'clock bang on, and done a nice job of his outrun. And I've taken a few off his lift, and then a dog that's just he's lifted on the outrun then, Yeah, so I'm quite hard. I'm quite hard on that. But then I think some people are shocked then why so many points off when they think they've had a nice lift, but it's because of I felt that they lifted him on the outrun.
So you want to see the dog going up and the sheep saddle standing, and then the dog approaches them.
Yeah, there's nothing nicer than seeing a run. Is it a dog that drops in nice and deep and just comes away and lifts the sheep nice? Yeah, I always think like a cake on the top of the field. I know sometimes can some people against it, but I think it's a good idea. No, I don't mean in a tub where they all got their heads in, so there's a shock and they jump, but just a bit of cake just to hold them, so it's a little bit, the lifts are a little bit more consistent, and dogs have to lift sheep. And if your dog can't bring 4 or 5 sheep off a bit of cake, well, I don't think he should be deserving to win the open trail, really,
Yeah. I should have to do it. No, funny, I was holding a trial this year, or this last year just passed, sorry, and I was by myself holding them at the top, and they were just a wee bit scary at times, and I thought, I had a bit of meal lying in the back of the pickup, and I thought, I'll just throw a wee bit out here just to see how it goes. Jesus, the next man come up to run, and the sheep stood. They didn't really want to leave, but as dog got on and moved, I remember thinking, Jesus, I've just ruined this man's run here without anybody know. But no, he lifted them then quite nicely and brought them. But I know you're
just
making a fair point there.
It just stalls them a little bit. Do you mean they
just enough to get their attention?
Yeah, just to hold them a bit.
Yeah. No, that's quite a good point there, to be fair now. When you're training the young dog to get to that sort of deep out run, how do you go about that? Like, if you're at distance, say, let's just say you're 200 yards away, how do you get that dog to go deep? Or
well, I suppose initially, just if you feel he's coming tight, you have to stop it and then get yourself up the field and push him out. And then I suppose I just turn that into a bit more of a growl or a raised voice, just to let him know that he's a bit too tight, and try and work on it. It is a tricky one, because quite often you do that, and then you can make your dog wide in the bottom because he thinks he has to be wide all the way. So it is a tricky one. I think some dogs are just naturally good on top of the field. I think it's just in some dogs, to me. And,
that's the thing, and so you're saying that you have to be careful. Like, it's funny, sometimes you try to fix a problem and you maybe create another problem.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah. I found that if say you start growling them to widen them at the top, and then they're leaving you wide, you mean? So it is a tricky one. Sometimes you have to lay off it. Just
no, pick your battles. Right. Well, with regards to trials themselves, then say you get to them big trials like your national, international. Is there any changes you would make? There's people have mentioned before, maybe more points for the turn back, or more for the shedding, or judges in separate boxes. I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but just giving you examples. Maybe you've something different, or maybe you're quite happy as they are.
Yeah, I think judges should judge together. I don't know. There's some contention, some issues that you need to discuss and have a little chat and come to an agreement. So I think judges together is best. I think I heard somebody say on one of your podcasts about when you're singling, just a light or something that's a bit quicker than the judges telling the course director and the course director telling you. I thought about that, and I thought, well, the only problem with a light is if you're watching your single, you mean you don't want to have one eye somewhere else,
turn your eye on it,
and then the single going. So I just thought some sort of a buzzer that the judges can press and
some way to alert you anyway.
When they get happy with it, when they've called a single, yeah. And quite often when you For the course director, call a single. Like I'm a bit deaf in one ear, so I'm sort of I sort of turning my head one way to see if I can hear him, and then you're not quite concentrating on the single. So
Yep, yep. No, fair do.
he pointed, I thought that was a good idea.
No, and then right. Obviously, you've a lot of success here at trials. Like you see your name on quite a lot. And there's the likes of Joe Jenkins, there's Ellis, there's Kevin Evans, and others, Watkins, etc., etc. So you're getting on pretty well, like with that competition about. What is your method? Like, are you breeding your pups? Are you buying your pups? Are you doing a mixture of both, or young ones started, or what is it?
Yeah, mostly breeding my own pups. Yeah, just and so been fortunate that Nip, he had a lot of bitches and had stud pups from Nip, and the other dogs now, Dick and my son's dog, Kairos Boss, is breeding quite nice, and yeah, so I've been lucky to have a selection of pups, and I always think you need like 4 or 5 pups to rear 4 or 5 pups and get them off to get the ones that are really good enough to go onto the trial field. Regardless of breeding, you've got the best bitches, the best dogs, but you need to at least 3 or 4 pups to get that. You can be lucky and just have 1 pup, and that's good enough. But just sort of guarantee you,
I need a bit of a selection.
Yeah.
No more. Then you've obviously got your son there, Jack, or whatever. So do you just keep pups and then pick throughout yourselves, or do you say, right, this is mine, this is his, or what way do you?
Jack's cottoned on pretty quick. He pinches the best ones now.
Yes, I was thinking that you obviously you've given him a bit of schooling over the years or whatever. He was on the team there this year, like, so you're going to end up shooting yourself in the foot at some point. So he'll cut you out someday of the team, or
yeah, it's nice having Jack interested in trialing, not just till he comes to the trials with me, but the talk in the house. Then we're talking about dogs, and of course my brother trials as well. So when we go to a trial, there's we all go together, and it just makes it a bit more enjoyable, I suppose. Yeah.
Your family offense would be real good fun for people that aren't on the dogs listening to the 3 he's talking there. So right, you're breeding them young pups then. What way do you go about that then? Like what sort of age are you starting them at roughly, or how do you go about it?
I haven't got no sort of set routine, just like when I feel a pup is ready, or when I sort of just find the time to, I think, I'll start messing with him, and then if he's ready, I'll try and carry it on. So I've got no set age or set time, just because they're all so different. Just when I feel they're ready, and I think starting them too soon can it's not a good thing sometimes, but you just say it does all depend on the dog, but
it's knowing what can take it and what can't take it, really is.
I think more have been spoiled by starting too soon than starting too late, if you get me.
Yeah. No. And right, so you're starting that young dog and you notice, right, I'm starting to show that interest, and you're thinking, right, I'm going to maybe try a wee bit here. Do you work way around pen? Do you have another dog holding sheep? Do you work on maybe 10 sheep or 3 sheep, or what way do you go about starting?
I used to originally just have an older dog and hold the sheep, and then normally end up down in a corner somewhere. But and then I put a round pen up, and that I find that great, just for starting them off. I think they can get bored in there quite quick, but as soon as they sort of passing on, circling around the fence, I come out of there, and then I found that great for starting young dogs. So use the pen, bit of both, the dog outside the pen sometimes and inside.
Sometimes you maybe have to go back into the pen again if you want to.
I think he's losing the sheep again, and you're ending up in a corner and stuck in a corner. Go back in the round pen for a bit. It also looks like going to a shed or two on the yard and just do a bit in the shed, especially when I say if it's hammering down with rain in the winter or something. It's just got a nice shed that sort of suits that. A couple of quiet sheep in the shed, and that works well for something young.
Yeah, well, see, obviously there's a lot of new handlers starting or whatever, and there's ones that listen to this or whatever. For around pen, what sort of size roughly do you have it? What sort of size for if they were thinking of putting one
up? What size mine is? I can't. I definitely go for bigger rather than smaller, because yeah, you want to give yourself a little bit of room.
Aye, so you'd have enough room in it that you could be even doing a wee bit of a, bringing the sheep to you back and forth, like just a bit,
It wouldn't be a bad idea. There are two different sizes, I suppose. One smaller and then one just that a bit bigger for just a dog that you've got going round and started. So
yeah, because I think for a lot of people maybe starting and they don't have that luxury of the likes of yourself, whatever, that has an older dog to hold the sheep.
yeah, well, that's it. Yeah.
It can be a bit of a shit show for some of them if they're starting. The sheep could be everywhere. So I likes that round pen. It's definitely helpful for ones starting out.
Yeah.
No, fair do. So newcomers coming into the sport, what advice would you give them? And don't say stick at it. That's some people say that, and that means absolutely nothing.
Yes, well, I suppose, yeah. Just make some contact someone local that's got experience with dogs and ask them, see if they can help it. And most people are prepared to help someone starting off, and then I think like we have our regions for nurseries. I think nurseries are good because you can go there. There's not so many people. Everybody's just a little bit more chilled out, I suppose, and there's plenty of people there willing to help and give advice. So try and contact your local secretary of your nursery association. I know that's sort of how I started. There was a few local trials, but then just going to nurseries really. And there's plenty of people there willing to help. And
you're saying that there that it's more chilled out, whatever nurseries. I hear a lot of ones saying that they actually prefer the nurseries to the opens. Like they really enjoy the nurseries.
Yeah. I know we know like just in South Wales, I know the nursery dogs are getting they are open standard nearly, you know what I mean? But then we run like novice classes and if someone's new, they can have another run at the end and have another go. We're all willing to help them. Yeah, so that would be my advice.
The good thing about nurseries, I noticed I've judged a few here this winter so far, and there's maybe a wee bit more humour with regards to they can give each other a bit of grief about having a bad run. But the only issue with it is because they're young dogs, there's a fairly good chance that they're going to have that returned on them a week or two down the line. There's a lot of mistakes happening. I suppose that's the whole purpose of the nurseries, really. It's to get experience in the dog.
Yeah. And for someone new watching, I suppose, like you said, they are young dogs and they will make mistakes and been in plenty of that standing there and having, it all going pear-shaped and wrong. So I suppose that makes them feel a little bit, whereas in an open trial, perhaps you don't see that so much.
Yeah, they go to an open trial and it just looks unrealistic that they'll ever get to that level. At least in the nurseries, they can see you someday having a disaster. They can see somebody else having a disaster. And that's maybe a wee bit more encouraging to see that you do have bad days too.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
No, fair dues. Right. Handlers. You've been at it, what, 30 odd years or whatever? Have you, the trials or?
40, yeah.
40. So you'll know a lot of the old school handlers then. So go back to the past then. What sort of handlers that you'd have seen growing up or in your early 20s, whatever, would have really stood out to you?
Wow. Like I say, the first international I went to was Markham Park, and Bobby Dalziel won that with Wisp. So that's like always sort of watched him. He was a great handler. Your Johnny Wilsons. There was a local handler called David Howells. He's still running now, so he's not. But he used to run a dog called Jock and a bitch called Cass. I used to enjoy watching Glyn run, and I say he still runs now. They're the ones that, yes. Of course, Arlen obviously as well. He's still running now. Yeah.
No, he's was successful for a long period of time. Well, regards to dogs nowadays, then, is there any dogs that really stand out in your head that you thought, they're a hell of a dog?
Arled's Old Roy. I remember watching him a few times and thinking that he had a real sort of method on sheep. Do you mean he was pushy, but he seemed to be able to get close to sheep. I also went to the international. The second one I went to was in Alnwick Castle, where Gwyn Jones Penmachno won it with Queen. So that one, the qualifying run was special, and and then he went on to win the Supreme, so that so Queen sticks in my head a bit. Yeah, and then a bit like bit more recent, perhaps Ricky Hutchinson Sweep.
Yeah,
I thought another great dog that really I think could work sheep on his own.
consistent, super
Yeah,
consistent.
yeah. I remember Ricky running. I think it was Moffat was in. He was in the Supreme. And it was hammering. The rain was coming down sideways, and Ricky was running sheep, but he still brought them sheep down pretty decent. So I remember that. And then Nigel Watkins used to run a bitch called Jodie.
Yes.
Yeah, I used to think I used to enjoy watching her. She was a good bitch.
No, fair do. They no, I like.
She just used to run a bitch called Meg. She was another one of my favourites.
Who was that?
Angie Driscoll.
Yes.
Yeah, her old bitch Meg. I thought she was a fantastic bitch. Yeah.
No, it's a question I like to ask people there, because you hear of a lot of these dogs that people are bringing up from the past, and a lot of them you've heard over the years, like, and it's just nice to hear people, bring them up again, or maybe they have a certain memory of them, or
yeah.
It's nice to hear.
Exactly.
Right, present day. Now, I was thinking about this question today, and I've asked it before. What three handlers stick out to you in the present day? And I thought about it. I don't mean it as in who's the three best handlers. Like, there's handlers out there that aren't the best handlers at the minute, but they're really good international handlers that I like to still watch, if you know what I mean. Is there ones that stick out to you? And maybe they are the best, or is there maybe
Yeah, you've got Kevin Evans. Obviously, he's top. Ricky Hutchinson and Aled Owen again. James McGee. I'm always amazed how he's running the dog so young, and how well they do it. He ran the bitch in Brechin, and she was only like 14, 15 months, was she? He was in the Supreme. I just find that special. And then there's like there's so many just in South Wales. You can think like Rob Ellis, and the list goes on really without even anybody out.
Yeah. Oh, you were saying about McGee there, like we more or less say over here, them Donegal men, like they must love the dogs, like, because they have them at young ages and they're going well, and like the standard Donegal's mental, like, that's, you hear one saying like them boys must actually be living with the dogs. It must never stop because the standard is so high, like.
Yeah, like winning. He went in Roscommon with Silver, and he wasn't very old, was he?
Yeah.
My dogs they're not even on whistles or anything at that age. No,
fair do. And with regards to dogs, then, now that's sort of present, the last, present day, maybe the last 5 years, is there stuff that stood out to you?
David Jenkins' dog Jock. I think he's a great dog. He's another one who looks intelligent dog to me, and he always gets his outruns right and picks sheep up and work on his own. And then you've got Kevin's Preseli Key. Just a special bitch. Cleon Harris had a sister to Preseli Key called Fly. She made the team a few times, and she was a really good bitch. Yeah. I've seen little sister Dickie. I think he won the qualifier in nationals in Yorkshire with her in the internet.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. I don't know.
Yeah. So they stand out. Floyd Farthing runs a bitch called Sal. I like watching her, but
yes,
I actually sold Sal to Floyd, so what I'm watching, I think, why did I sell her? But,
right. And what age was she whenever you sold her?
She was about 12 months. Yeah.
Too many other good dogs at the time did you have, or
just a lot of good, and she did look nice, and Floyd came along, and he was looking for a dog, and he done a great job with them.
So they more or less what you're saying is so more or less what you're saying is then now I suppose the auctions come up here soon in February, as you're saying, if you have any dogs in that, bid on them, there's a good chance it could be you sell good ones as well. It does help that, to be fair. Like I see that even with in the pedigree sheep world, if you have somebody that sells the occasional good female, it bloody helps. And if you're seen to be selling a dog, when it's getting to a high level, well, it makes people think, well, there's a chance, there's a chance that fellow will be selling something decent as well. It does help.
And different dogs see different handlers. Do you mean if I kept Sal, perhaps she wouldn't have been as good as what she was with Floyd? Do you mean it's just it's what suits you and what you click with and bond with? It makes such a difference if you really like a dog and get on with it.
Yeah, no, fair dues. And do you're working with bitches there at the moment? You don't really have any preference, dog or bitch, or
Um, I probably prefer bitches, but yeah, do you mean? But I've had good dogs, like obviously I had Nip. Um, yeah, yeah, I suppose, yeah, bitches have. I seem to get on better with bitches, perhaps. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, no problem. So I always like to sort of ask a question or two with regards to training, because again, anybody new to the thing, if they pick up, say, somebody on an outrun, what they've said, somebody else on a drive, they can maybe piece them things together. It's maybe helps them.
Yeah.
So you're starting a dog to drive there. What would you like that dog to be doing before you'd even go to driving? Does it have to be doing a certain distance of an outrun beforehand, or what level do you need it at before you start driving?
To be honest, I've gone that I do a little bit of everything. Um, from a younger age, whereas I used to say like get the outrun all right first, and then sort of like progress to driving. I'll do a little bit of outrunning one day, and then if a dog sort of naturally starts doing a bit of driving, I'll just walk with him and encourage him, um, and like leave him flank in front of, rather than making him come behind you straight away. I'd just leave him if he wants to flank in front of you. Even if he slashes it a bit, just leave him carry on. Just find it easier that if he's always come behind you, that you get that battle then of trying to get him in between you and the sheep, and can cause issues. So yeah, I haven't got a set routine anymore. Just a bit of everything.
Yeah. If he does come on a bit tight there, you're not. Are you making a big fuss at that, or are you just sort of just
First,
expecting
yeah,
to get his confidence?
yeah. First, just leaving him build his confidence, and sort of leaving, as long as you're not hanging on a sheep, just leaving him get away with it. Um, and then slowly progress to making him come behind you and squaring his flanks up.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
then
So
you have to go back to him flanking in front of you. I find it a lot quicker and easier then.
right, and to get him flanking in front of you then in the drive. So what way do you go about that?
Um, Start by walking alongside them, and just squaring them off, and it's like just changing the tone in your voice so they know they need to be a bit squarer, perhaps. Use a line a bit, do you mean, and just like pull a little bit one way, just to guide them where you want them.
Aye, so there the sheep are walking off up the field. You're coming
Yeah,
behind them with the dog, and you're giving a wee bit of a
yeah, yeah.
yeah. No, the line comes in handy at times. So the
Yeah, you've always sort of got, if you've got a line, and you've always got a little bit of control if it starts going wrong. Just catch up
yeah.
with it.
And that driving then, are you trying to again for one starting out? Are you driving sort of in a circle around then, so the dog's always sort of has his eyes on you, or what way do you go?
Yeah, I suppose I am. Yeah, first, yeah, just walking at a right angle to your dog. Do you mean alongside him, just to give him the confidence, and just so you're in control, and then just slowly just start stepping back and leaving him take control, I suppose.
Yeah. No, because I remember whenever I first started the dogs, and you're maybe teaching them to drive. I didn't know anyway. Like I was just trying to get them to drive up the field, and then the dogs looking at you, and it's
Yeah, yeah.
a disaster. And I remember Jerry Graham.
I'm looking at you, and kind of.
Aye, well, that's the thing. And Jerry Graham, who I'd been friendly with, he had said, more or less what you're saying there too, and he went maybe in a circle. He said, "Let your young dog, have you still on his eye line that he's still comfortable. He feels comfortable." He says, "You start pushing him away, and he's thinking, shit, what do I do here now?" Or
Yeah,
you end up getting yourself into difficulty. So, aye, so for one start, and that's what you would say, bit of a line, walk along with your dog,
yeah, yeah.
and just give him a bit of a pull if needed, this way or that way.
Just just encourage him to drive, like with all things. Some are natural drivers, and
Yeah,
yeah, and others take longer to take to it.
yeah. And when you say they take longer, how long, as a dog's there, you would find maybe you could be trying for a bloody month to get anywhere with them, or what way do you find?
Yeah, well, it's just a patience game then, and if he's taking a long time, you can't do sort of a lot about it. You just got to keep encouraging him, and
Yeah,
walking with him, and until he's got the confidence to do it himself.
yeah, yeah. And you're out working with the dog here. Would you say that dog is just not entirely comfortable with it? Would you stick maybe with 2 or 3 minutes here at one point of the session,
Yeah.
and maybe 2 or 3 minutes later, you don't just keep at it like obviously. Or,
No, no, switch back to something else. Do you mean just to keep keep the
I take
dog.
a fresh out.
Yeah, and then perhaps go back to it again. Like you say, a few minutes a day, or leave it for a week or so and go back to it again. And
Yeah, yeah. No, that's good advice there. For, say, a lot of us take it for granted because you're at the dogs, but there's one starting there, and I've had messages from a few people starting, and things are simple and make sense whenever you know it. But whenever you don't know it, it's very hard to, it maybe doesn't make sense, or it's not it's not an obvious option. Like, so no, that's I think that'll definitely help ones there that starting out. So no, you'd be friendly enough with Arvin Davies then, yeah.
what's
I
that?
was
Sorry.
talking. You'd be friendly enough with Arvin Davies, yeah.
Yes, yeah. And
Uh, no, because I was talking about him here today, and I was asking about your dogs and all that, and I was asking. I says, what about David Stick? And he says, not the biggest in the world. He says, but he gets the job done.
yeah,
So I said to him, I said to Erwin, I said, I've come out with that to him. I said, I don't know this man. What has he a bit of humor? Will he take a joke? He said, I know he'll take a joke. So
I'm never going to call a dog Dick again, put it like that.
no,
It's a standing joke when I go to the post when you're out there, you walk, what's the name of your dog? And then you say Dick, and then I've heard all the Dick jokes now. So
I was about to say, it can make you look like a dick if you had a bad run there. That's the problem. No, I was saying that to Erwin, and I thought, he says, no, he says, he's good crack. He says, he's a bit of sense of humor or whatever. And then I was thinking to myself, I don't know this man. Is Erwin then taking the hand out of me? Maybe he doesn't have, maybe he wouldn't, maybe he would take this thing if I say it to him. So I was playing my eyes.
He gets mentioned on Facebook sometimes, and then it like friends butt in, and then well, I just keep out of it. I just thought I'm not going to say nothing. It just goes on otherwise.
Let it be. Well, tell me, was he in the team at all ever, or what way?
No, I ran Dick through nurseries.
Yeah.
Then he was getting really wound up at trials. And we were sort of just clashing, if you like. He was winding me up and I was winding him up, I think.
Yeah.
So the guy who had him for me, who had him as a pup, started him, and he always said if I was to sell him, he'd like to have him back. So I thought, I asked him would he have him back, perhaps for a year or so, just on the farm, and then perhaps go back to him, give him a year out on the farm. And then I had a few other dogs, like Roy came along, and a few others. So never really. So he actually stayed there, but I could see before he went that he was breeding some really nice things. So I'm glad that he stayed with a good friend of mine, Leighton Davis, his name is, and he's still there now, and he works and gathers with him. Yeah, and
it's funny. I was noticing he was getting bitches, like, because I've seen it, and I've seen pedigrees there with him, so he's obviously got a few bitches.
It's funny, if I get him back now, like I'll go and fetch him if somebody wants to use him on a bitch, and I can work him. I work him quiet, and he's just so calm and relaxed. But when I was trialing, it was all a bit manic and crazy, and sometimes I never trained him. Do you mean he was just, yeah.
No, fair dues. Well, right. So you've had. I was speaking to Aaron about it. You had Dick. You had a Roy. He said Roy was a really good dog.
Yeah. Roy's now with he's out of Virginia with John Campbell. Roy got him into the International in Aberystwyth, the COVID year, 2021. And then I made the Supreme final. Ended up 9th there with him, I think. Yeah, it was fifth with Nip in that one, and 9th with Roy, but Roy was a young dog then.
And then you've sold him all the since as well, like, yeah.
Yeah, I sold him when he's about 6-year-old then. Yeah.
I know. He said to me, Aaron said to me, he was a hell of a dog. I've actually got his name wrote down here with exclamation marks. So he reckoned that was a special one. And then you had a Kai as well.
Yeah, I got Kai. He's a young dog. He's by Dick. Ran him in last year's nurseries. Not that successfully, but he's pretty full on. But there's lots of things I like about him. He's a terrific outrunner, and I think he's just a dog that's going to be like a 4-year-old, 5-year-old dog when he really starts to settle. A little bit like Nip in some ways. I did 2 years in nurseries with Nip. Not very successful. The first year he was young and I didn't do any good at all. Second year I would have I'd do well 1 week and then he'd just be a bit much and frighten the sheep or a slice of flank, and so never did that well with Nip in nurseries. And then he sort of turned you had no fear in Nip. He just behind sheep, and he was like a bulldozer. He was just away with sheep. And then he sort of like turned 3 and and then did like another season of like lambing, and then like year marking time we call it. I mean, and like he'd be having a bit of a fight with you and a lamb or something, and then another one would come out of the bunch and knock him, and then he sort of it's as if he got a little bit of respect for the sheep, and then he just like, it wasn't overnight, but he changed drastically in a short space of time and started to have a little bit more feeling for sheep, and yeah.
No,
So Kai,
fair dude.
I see a Kai a little bit like that.
Aye. Well, I've noticed there. So you have had 4 or 5 dogs that have, like notable dogs. So the Kai is there the Dick. What way was Nip bred and what way was Roy bred? What was the breeding behind them?
Nip, Nip was by a bitch I had called Jamie, and then Dick was by Nip, Roy was by Nip, and then Kai is by Dick. So they're all sort of related.
And Nip himself, who was the fella of him then? Or
He was Robert Ellis's Merc.
Yes. Aye.
And Robert's Merc breeder. He was a breeder. But actually in Nip there's 5, which is quite pleasing. It like goes all the way back to the original bitch pup I had, which was a bull tough pup.
Right.
Which is like 5 generations back in Nip. And then there's all my bitches to 2 Nips, so that's quite nice too.
Yes. I know it's nice to see then you're following your own breeding. Obviously, you have a style that suits you, and that's what you're.
I bought like the Wyvern pip bitch. I bought her off David Beak as a pup. She's by Derwin Doug, and David's Meg. So I'd like to buy the odd bitch pup now so I can use my dogs back on them. Just so happened that Pip turned out to be a really good bitch as well.
It's just the problem is sometimes when the bitches are doing so well, you nearly don't want to put them on pup then if they're.
Yeah. I bred Pip straight after the World Trail in Guildhall. They had about 12 months old, and I was a couple of nice ones then. But I fancied last year then Pip. I thought it had taken a little bit out of her, and she didn't run quite so well last year. But hopefully this year again.
Yeah, no problem. And right, I'm watching these online sales. I don't so much watch the names of the people that are exhibiting or whatever, but your dogs seem to come up in a lot of, them young ones half broken, young ones starting. There seems to be a lot of ones out of your breeding. Hey,
everybody's selling them. That's not a good sign.
I know, just no. They're making money. That's the thing. They sometimes people have the option of get 2 or 3 grand for a young pup here, or to keep it. Well, it's very hard to turn down that 3 grand. But that's what I was going to say to you. Do you have a focus now as well? And maybe do you yourself maybe enter on these sales, or is it just your breeding? Or
yeah, I do sell a few through the sales. I've sold a lot of dogs private as well. Do you mean quite like that? Yeah. Got a good friend in America called Doug Branham, who's I've sold a lot of dogs to, and we've got a good relationship, and he trusts what I say, and I trust him, and so I've sent a lot of dogs down his way, and but in the last year or 2 I have tried a few of the online sales, and they've gone quite well. Yeah, just I've been having so many, so like nip at a lot of bitches, you mean, and people would rather give you a pup than pay a service fee, so I'd have a pup. And then I've ended up with with dogs and pups, friends like rearing a few pups for me, and so I suppose I've had a few surplus really to sell, and because of that.
I know it always seems a good idea to get another one, but there comes a point where you have there's too many, like and then nothing's getting done.
Yeah, definitely.
No, fair problem. And you were saying there about your dog, you're out and he learned a lot of manners out with lambing time and whatever. What sort of sheep are you working with? What sort of numbers of sheep are you working with?
We're running about 1,600 ewes at home here, mainly Welsh Mountain ewes, some Texel cross ewes.
Yeah.
And then we share the farm that I was saying is above the International Cross in Markham Park, and we're running about 600, mostly Welsh Mountain ewes there as well. So plenty of work for the dogs.
So you have 1600 plus, then there's the 600.
Yeah,
The world of work.
yeah.
No, because you hear people talking there.
My dad is still home and my brother's home, and now Jack is home as well. Do you mean so?
Yeah. No, because that's the thing. You hear people talking there, and it sort of winds me up sometimes. Oh, it's only a trial dog, and you're thinking to yourself, they nearly, like, what are they trying to say? Like a well-trained dog, more or less, as if it's a negative. Clearly, your dogs are trial dogs, but like they have to bloody be farm dogs with that number of sheep, like.
Yeah. First and foremost, they have to do the work, and my thing is the best trial dogs are the best farm dogs, or vice versa. The dogs that are capable of like an all-rounder, and if you like, they can do a bit of everything. I don't like. I hear that a lot. He'd be good for you. He's a trial dog. Do you mean? And he'd be a good trial. You can't get the sheep. Do you mean? But that's not the case, is it? As we know. But, yeah.
No, as farmers, you hear them saying it like.
Yeah.
I think they've heard somebody else saying it. I think because it makes no sense what they're bloody saying. Like, you're saying you don't want a well-trained dog. Is that
Yeah.
They nearly prefer something that maybe doesn't have a stop and it has the sheep hard and that looks like it's good purr, as opposed to actually no, the dog's only half trained. That's
yeah.
A lot of people confuse. A lot of farmers I've noticed they can confuse purr for a dog that's not necessarily trained right. A dog running tight and a outrun hitting sheep.
Or something that's a little bit sort of on the weak side or a bit nice. They think, oh, that'll be good for trailing. But it's not, is it? It's like you've still got to have the power to take sheep round. And
that's the thing. You do see some dogs at trials maybe that are a wee bit weak or whatever, but you can rest assured if you have a weak dog at the trials, there's some point you're going to have to walk up that field and you don't want to be doing it like so.
When you start talking nationals and supreme finals, and it's you've got to have a dog with a
bit of guts behind him.
Power, yeah.
No problem. And them sheep, then, like the Welsh Mountain, like you have Lanarks there. Lanark sheep, for example, they're in Scotland, they're in Ireland here, they're in parts of England, and the Swales are even starting to go in Scotland now, and they're in Northern Ireland or whatever. The Welsh Mountains have always just sort of stuck there. Well, what's the reason, and why do you not really see anything else on the Welsh Hills? Like, you don't really ever hear tell of any Lanarks at all, or what's the pros and cons of them? Or
well, there's a couple of variations of them. Like we've got a South Welsh Mountain, which is like a tighter coated, it's like perhaps a stronger yield. You've got the North Welsh Mountain, which is just a little bit different, a bit of a longer coat, and probably stick the weather better, perhaps. And then on like different areas of Wales, they've got different types of Welsh Mountain. You do see like there's like the Brecknock Hill Cheviot, which is a Cheviot type, and you've got Beulah Speckles and Hardy Speckles, and so yeah, there are different breeds around the hills of Wales. Like it's not all Welsh Mountain.
Yeah, and then Welsh Mountains. So what would they be? For people listening there, because I've seen pictures of them there, but that's about it. Well, obviously, it's maybe the international or two in Wales you've seen it, but like, what are they like compared to the Blackie? Are they bigger? Are they a fat lamb, a better sort of a lamb, or are they very similar? What's
similar, really? Yeah. We run. My brother's got about 60 Cheviot ewes. In fact, they're good ewes. They're wilder than the Welsh sheep, definitely wilder. Yeah. But they're good ewes. But I suppose it's just different sheep suit different areas, and then it's what people have known, and they've stuck to it, I suppose.
No, because people always tell you, that a lot of the Welsh dogs, they're quite flanky. They're working on them wild sheep and stuff like that. And like, again, I don't experience them here, but you think I can't really imagine anything much wilder than Lanark. Like,
no. Yeah, especially perhaps the Southwest Mountain is a bigger ewe, and I suppose it comes down to how much they worked and stuff, to how heavy they are. You mean it's like, yeah, any sheep that can be sort of wild if it's never seen a dog, can it? It's like,
yeah. And do you work with them? Like, do you do any pedigree sales with the rams at all, or is it just completely commercially based? Or
Yeah, they're not pedigree as such, but they're a pure breed. Yeah, we sell some. We sell yearling rams, in a sale called Pendarian. There's actually two for the Southwest Mountain, two main sales for buying rams there.
Yeah. So they're like the Lanarks as well. There's no like pedigree background over. They just breed them pure.
Yeah.
Aye, no problem. And what do you keep over then? How many rams do you keep over every year then, roughly, or the shearlings?
Between around a dozen or 15.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They no, I always like to hear about ones, keeping over the ram stuff. It's there's some people out there that they have the sheep for the dogs, if you know what I mean. If they didn't have the dogs, you wouldn't have sheep at all. But I come from pedigree sheep, and I like a good dog, but I like very good sheep too. And you can appreciate. I think is it Millet Chap there? I think does he breed them as well? Does he? Or
Yeah.
I've seen pictures of it up on Facebook and all, and you can tell they're a decent standard of what they're supposed to be like.
Yeah. Oh, they'd be good sheep. Yeah.
No, fair do. Right. Thank you very much for that, David.
Thank you.
Enjoyed that, and I think it's nice for people. I said it before, but it's nice for people that maybe don't necessarily know you to see your name and all on the paper or on the Facebook or whatever, but they're sort of getting to put a voice to the name of you and hearing your opinions, whatever. It's nice to see what you think of the whole thing, So no, thank you very much for your time.
Oh, thank you.
Good luck to Wales and the Six Nations, but just not too much luck.
I think you're safe there.
You think? I don't know. Ireland. See, that's the one thing about Ireland. You think things are going great, or you have a good team, and they're like the dogs. They can let you down very quick. That's the problem. But no, thank you very much for your time, and sure we'll see you about. I'm sure.
Thank you, Adam.